The massive alien ships appeared suddenly at the edge of our solar system. They moved slowly, drifting like leaves on a pond. Lily Brooks rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at her monitor. The night shift at Alpine Observatory was usually quiet, but tonight was different. "That can't be right," she whispered, adjusting her telescope settings. But the readings remained the same. 27 large objects, definitely not asteroids, had entered the solar system beyond Neptune's orbit. Lily's hands trembled as she reached for her phone. Within an hour, observatories worldwide confirmed her discovery. Within 3 hours, the president had been briefed. Within 12 hours, Captain Alan Morgan of the interplanetary vessel Horizon received his orders. "We're really doing this?" asked Lieutenant Sam Reed as they prepared for launch. Alan nodded, checking his equipment one last time. "First contact. Never thought I'd see the day." The Horizon was humanity's fastest ship, capable of reaching the outer planets in weeks rather than years. Even so, the journey to intercept the alien fleet felt endless. Alan spent most of it reviewing protocols that had been theoretical until now. Signal coming in, Communications Officer Kate Martinez announced on their 5th day of travel. I think it's them." The message was a simple pattern of pulses, mathematical sequences that demonstrated intelligence, the universal language of prime numbers. The crew worked tirelessly to establish basic communication. "They're responding to our signals," Kate said, her voice filled with excitement. "They're learning our number system incredibly fast." By the time the Horizon reached visual range of the alien fleet, they had established rudimentary communication. The aliens called themselves the Nelvari, and they were in trouble. "Their main engines have failed," reported Chief Engineer Pete Coleman after analyzing the transmitted data. "They're adrift. Life support systems are running on backup power." The alien ships were unlike anything humans had built. Sleek, silver vessels with odd bulges and curves that seemed to follow some alien aesthetic. The largest was nearly a mile long. Ellen estimated there could be thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of aliens aboard. "They're asking for help," Kate said, looking up from her station. "At least I think that's what they're saying." Ellen made a decision. "Tell them we're sending a shuttle to dock with their command ship." The shuttle approached the largest vessel, which had opened what appeared to be a docking bay. Alan led the small team, including Kate for communications and Dr. Ryan Foster, their xenobiologist. "Remember," Alan said as they prepared to board, "we represent all of humanity now." The alien ship's interior was dimly lit with a bluish glow. The air smelled strange but breathable. And then they saw them, the Nelvari. The aliens stood nearly 7 feet tall, with slender bodies covered in pale, almost translucent skin. Their 4 arms moved with graceful precision. Large, faceted eyes studied the humans with what seemed like curiosity. One stepped forward. It wore decorative metal pieces that might have been armor or perhaps just clothing. "We thank humans," the creature said through a device around its neck. The words were halting, mechanical, but understandable. "We are pleased to meet you," Alan replied slowly. "We want to help." The lead Nelvari explained their situation through a combination of words and images projected from devices on their wrists. Their fleet had been traveling for years, fleeing from something they called the Destroyers. Their main propulsion systems had failed, leaving them stranded. "Die soon," the Nelvari leader said. "No power. No food grow. Children first." Alan looked at his team. They had come expecting to satisfy curiosity, to make history with a simple hello across the stars. Instead, they found themselves faced with a refugee crisis of interstellar proportions. "We'll help you," Alan said firmly. "I need to contact Earth, but we will help." The Nelvari leader bowed all 4 of its arms in what seemed like profound gratitude. Back on the Horizon, Alan sent his report to Earth. Humanity's first contact with alien life would not be a simple exchange of greetings. It would be a rescue mission unlike any before. The United Nations assembled an emergency session just 3 days after Alan Morgan's report reached Earth. The chamber buzzed with excited whispers and nervous tension as Ambassador Nicole Harper took the podium. A career diplomat with silver-streaked hair, she had been chosen to lead Earth's response to the Nelvari crisis. "The aliens need our help," she said, her voice steady despite the historic weight of her words. "Their fleet carries over 30,000 individuals, including many children. They have perhaps 4 months of life support remaining." Screens around the chamber displayed images of the Nelvari ships. Engineers' reports scrolled alongside them, detailing the aliens' technological capabilities. "They are both similar to and different from us," Nicole continued. "More advanced in propulsion and materials science, yet their basic energy needs are compatible with our systems." After heated debate, the Assembly voted to form the Interspecies Assistance Coalition. Ships from 12 nations would depart within the week, carrying supplies, engineers, and diplomats. Nicole led the delegation aboard the carrier Independence. As they approached the Nelvari fleet, she practiced the greeting phrases Kate Martinez had compiled. The formal meeting took place on the Nelvari command ship. High Commander Kelrix, tall even for a Nelvari, wore elaborate silver plating across his upper torso. 6 other aliens stood in strict formation behind him. "We thank humans for coming," Kelrix said through an improved translator. His large eyes blinked rapidly in what Nicole had been told indicated gratitude. "We come as friends and helpers," Nicole replied. "Please tell us more about your situation." The Nelvari explained they had fled their home system after an attack by a species they called the Krell. Their fleet had traveled for 11 years before their main propulsion systems failed due to a critical design flaw. "We are not warriors," Kelrix said. "We are scholars, artists, builders. The Krell destroy all they cannot rule." Nicole noticed how the alien leader always spoke first, and the others only when permitted. The Nelvari social structure seemed highly hierarchical, which created friction with the more egalitarian human teams. Engineer Jack Wilson discovered the first breakthrough. A stocky man with perpetually oil-stained hands, he had been examining the Nelvari engine cores. "Their system is elegant," he told Nicole during the daily briefing. "Their fusion process is similar to ours, but more refined. We can adapt our technology to jumpstart theirs." But cultural tensions mounted. When Dr. Lisa Ortega suggested a modification to the Nelvari life support system, Sub-Commander Zenith dismissed her without consideration. "Female humans have authority," Zenith asked Captain Morgan with genuine confusion. "Of course," Alan replied firmly. "Dr. Ortega is one of our finest scientists." Nicole worked tirelessly to smooth these misunderstandings. She arranged cultural exchange sessions where humans and Nelvari could learn about each other in less pressured environments. During one such gathering, a Nelvari named Trell shared images of their homeworld, crystal cities surrounded by purple forests. The beauty moved many humans to tears. "This is what Krell destroyed," Trell said softly. "Our history, our art." Progress on the technical front moved slowly but steadily. Jack Wilson and his team developed an interface between human fusion generators and Nelvari systems. The first test powered up emergency lights on one small vessel, bringing cheers from both species. Nicole's biggest challenge came when Nelvari food supplies began to dwindle faster than anticipated. The aliens required specific proteins that humans couldn't manufacture quickly enough. "We may need to put some of our people into stasis sleep," Kelrix announced. "The young and old will go first." That night, Nicole sat alone in her quarters, feeling the weight of thousands of alien lives on her shoulders. Earth had committed enormous resources, but was it enough? The technical challenges were immense, and time was running out. A soft chime announced a message from Earth. The UN had just approved her request for additional resources. Nicole allowed herself a small smile. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but humanity had committed itself to this rescue. There was no turning back now. The engineering bay of the Independence hummed with activity as Dr. Susan Grant hunched over her workstation. Surrounded by a tangle of wires and alien components, she brushed her curly hair from her face and sighed. "It's like trying to connect modern fiber optics to telegraph wires," she muttered. "Similar principles, but completely different implementations." For 3 weeks, the human team had been developing an interface between Earth's fusion technology and the Nelvari power systems. The challenge wasn't just technical, it was enormous in scale. Powering a single alien ship would strain Earth's resources. Powering 27 of them seemed impossible. Jack Wilson looked up from his calculations. "We need to think bigger. These patchwork solutions won't save the fleet." The door slid open as Captain Morgan and Ambassador Harper entered with Chief Engineer Zorth of the Nelvari. The alien's silver skin gleamed under the fluorescent lights, his 4 arms held rigidly at his sides. "Time grows short," Zorth said, his translator making his voice sound flat and mechanical. "Many systems now fail. Young ones are placed in stasis chambers. But these 2 need power." Susan stood. "We have a proposal, but it's risky." She brought up a holographic display showing a modified version of Earth's newest fusion reactor. "Instead of adapting our technology to each ship, we create a central power hub. One massive reactor that can distribute energy to the entire fleet." Zorth's eyes narrowed. "This has never been attempted. Energy transfer over such distances is possible with your materials technology and our power generation," Jack finished. A plan took shape. Earth would send materials for a massive reactor, while the Nelvari would contribute their advanced superconductors and field technology. Building the hub would require a volunteer team to live aboard the alien command ship for months. Frank Rivers, a nuclear specialist from Canada, raised his hand immediately. "I'm in." Maya Patel, a structural engineer from India, joined next. Soon, a dozen humans had volunteered. "This is not without danger," Ambassador Harper warned them. "You'll be living in alien conditions, away from Earth support." Frank shrugged. "Someone has to do it." 2 days later, the volunteers boarded the Nelvari command ship with equipment and supplies. They were assigned quarters in what had once been a recreation area, now repurposed for human habitation. The work was grueling. Human and Nelvari physiology differed, making simple tasks complicated. Humans needed more rest, more food, and different atmospheric conditions. The Nelvari worked in 16-hour shifts without breaks. "How do they do it?" Maya asked Frank as they collapsed in their quarters after another exhausting day. "Different evolution, different biology," Frank replied. "But they're pushing themselves too hard. Even they have limits." Tensions rose as progress seemed too slow. Zorth grew increasingly agitated, questioning human methods and demanding faster results. During one heated exchange, he accused the humans of deliberately delaying. "You wish to study our technology before helping," he hissed at Susan. "That's not true," she replied evenly. "We're working as fast as we can." The breakthrough came during the 4th week. Susan's team successfully created a small-scale prototype of the power transfer system. When activated, it channeled energy from a human generator to a Nelvari food production unit. "It works," Maya exclaimed as fresh nutrients began flowing into the alien equivalent of a hydroponics bay. For the first time, Zorth's rigid posture relaxed slightly. Perhaps there is hope. But scaling up the prototype presented new challenges. Calculations showed the full-sized reactor might become unstable during power-up. The first test of the large-scale system was set for the following day. That night, alarm klaxons blared throughout the Nelvari ship. Frank and Maya rushed from their quarters to find chaos. A coolant system had failed in one of the stasis chambers where Nelvari children slept. Temperature rising. A Nelvari technician called out, "Stasis failing." Without waiting for orders, the human team grabbed emergency equipment and raced to help. As alarms continued to sound, humans and aliens worked side by side, racing against time to save the sleeping children. The rescue effort would test both species' resolve and determine whether their partnership could withstand a crisis. The fate of the fleet now hung on their ability to work together. The stasis chamber glowed red with warning lights as Frank Rivers and Maya Patil worked frantically alongside the Nelvari technicians. The cooling system failure threatened 53 Nelvari children in suspended animation. "We need to reroute emergency power," Frank shouted above the alarms. Lieutenant Ben Carter, a Marine engineer who had been sleeping nearby, rushed in with portable power units from the human quarters. His blonde hair was disheveled, but his movements were precise as he connected cables to the stasis pod controls. "This won't last long," Ben warned. "Maybe 20 minutes. A small Nelvari child stasis pod began to open prematurely. The child inside, no larger than a human 5-year-old, started to wake, a potentially fatal situation given the failing life support. Without hesitation, Ben disconnected his oxygen supplement and rushed to the pod. He lifted the disoriented child and carried it to the section with functioning environmental controls. "The young one would have died," Zorth stated later in the command center. His outer eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of strong emotion. Lieutenant Carter risked his own breathing to save it. Ambassador Harper nodded. "That's who we are, Zorth. We couldn't stand by while children were in danger. Any children." The incident marked a turning point. The Nelvari began sharing more details about their technology, making the Power Hub project advance faster. Engineers from both species worked around the clock, their bodies running on stimulants and determination. During one rest period, a senior Nelvari named Thrill approached Susan Grant with a data crystal. "This contains information about the Krell," Thrill said quietly. "You should know what pursues us." The crystal revealed horrifying images of the Krell, armored, insectoid beings who conquered civilizations and stripped planets of resources. Their ships were massive weapons platforms designed to overwhelm any defense. "They follow our energy signature," Thrill explained. "Our leadership feared telling you this would make humans refuse help." Susan brought this information to Captain Morgan and Ambassador Harper. "They're refugees, but they've also brought danger to our doorstep," Alan said gravely. Nickel frowned. "We can't abandon them, but Earth needs to prepare defenses." When confronted, High Commander Kelrix lowered all 4 arms in a gesture of shame. "We feared your abandonment more than we feared dishonesty. The Krell destroyed 12 worlds before ours. How far behind you are they?" Alan asked. "Unknown. Perhaps years. Perhaps months." The news spread quickly among the human teams. Some argued for withdrawing immediately, but most stood firm. "We didn't come this far to run away," Ben Carter said during an impromptu meeting in the human quarters. "These people need us." Frank nodded. "Besides, if these Krell are as bad as they say, they'll find Earth eventually anyway." The Power Hub construction accelerated. Earth sent additional ships carrying weapons and defense systems alongside the reactor components. The work took on new urgency, not just saving the Nelvari, but preparing for a possible Krell arrival. During this period, humans and Nelvari began truly learning about each other. Cultural exchange sessions resumed with greater openness. Humans taught Nelvari card games and music. The aliens shared their mathematical poetry and memory crystals containing their world's history. One evening, a young Nelvari approached Ben Carter with a small object, a crystalline structure that pulsed with soft light. "For saving my sister," the alien said. "A life debt token. Our highest honor." Ben accepted it carefully. "I didn't do it for honor. I did it because it was right." The Nelvari touched Ben's hand with 2 of his arms. "This is why we believe humans may succeed where others failed. You act from heart, not calculation." As the Power Hub neared completion, Ambassador Harper received a message from Earth. The UN Security Council had unanimously voted to extend full protection to the Nelvari fleet and officially condemn the Krell aggression. "We stand with you," Nickel told Kelrix in a formal ceremony aboard the command ship. "Your fight is now our fight." For the first time since their engines failed, Hope truly blossomed among the Nelvari, with humans beside them. Perhaps they had a future after all. The scale of the Nelvari fleet presented challenges beyond anything Earth engineers had tackled before. 27 massive ships, each housing thousands of aliens, required enormous power. The central hub under construction resembled a small moon, bristling with radiators and conduits. Jack Wilson studied the latest simulation results and shook his head. The energy distribution is still uneven. The furthest ships will get less than 60% of what they need. Zorth, who had become Jack's unlikely partner in the project, manipulated a holographic display with his 4 arms. The alien engineer had grown noticeably thinner as he worked tirelessly alongside the humans. "Our materials cannot handle the power density you propose," Zorth said. "We need a different approach." They had been working for 16 hours straight when Jack suddenly sat upright. "What if we don't try to power all ships equally? What if we create a network instead?" The concept was revolutionary. Rather than sending power directly from the hub to each ship, they would link the fleet into an interconnected grid. Each vessel would both receive and relay energy to its neighbors. Like a neural network, Susan Grant observed when Jack presented the idea. Each ship becomes a node in the system. Earth's industrial capacity had been redirected to support the rescue effort. Factories worldwide produced components for the power hub. Fusion plants operated at maximum capacity to provide the needed materials. It was the largest coordinated engineering project in human history. Daily progress reports dominated news broadcasts. Children built models of Nelvari ships. Universities offered emergency courses in alien technology. Humanity had united around a single purpose: saving the stranded fleet. Dr. Susan Grant worked late one night, analyzing data from the Nelvari propulsion systems. Something about the numbers bothered her. The failure patterns didn't match the explanation they'd been given. She dug deeper into the technical specifications, comparing them to Earth's understanding of physics. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered, rubbing her tired eyes. The Nelvari claimed their engines failed due to cumulative radiation damage during their long flight. But Susan's analysis suggested a different cause, one that looked disturbingly like deliberate sabotage. She brought her findings to Captain Morgan the next morning. These systems didn't just fail. Someone designed them to fail once they reached a certain distance from their home system. Alan frowned. Why would they sabotage their own ships? "I don't think they did," Susan replied. "I think someone else did, long before they fled." Before they could investigate further, alarms blared throughout the human section of the command ship. Security Officer Diane Fletcher burst into the room. "We've caught an intruder in the weapons development area," she reported. "A Nelvari technician was downloading our defense specifications." The captured saboteur, a Nelvari named Vex, refused to speak to anyone except High Commander Kelrix. Human security footage clearly showed him attempting to transfer military data to an unknown storage device. Ambassador Harper demanded answers. "We've given everything to help you. Why steal from us?" Kelrix's skin paled to an almost white shade. "This is deeply shameful. Vex belongs to a faction that believes we must secure our future by any means necessary, even betraying those helping you." Nichols' voice was sharp with anger. "They fear humans will abandon us once the Krell arrive," Kelrix explained. "They sought weapon designs as insurance. The incident created a diplomatic crisis. Some human leaders called for immediately halting the rescue operation. Trust, so carefully built over weeks of cooperation, began to crumble. Meanwhile, work on the power hub continued. Jack and Zorth refined their network design, running simulation after simulation. The first real-world test loomed just days away, but the question on everyone's mind was no longer just whether the technology would work. The deeper question was whether the partnership between humans and Nelvari could survive. As Susan Grant continued her investigation into the mysterious engine failures, she wondered what other secrets the aliens might be hiding, and whether uncovering them would save both species or drive them apart forever. The fate of two civilizations now balanced on a knife's edge of technology and trust. The Emergency Council convened in the Independence's main conference room. Human and Nelvari leaders sat opposite each other, the atmosphere tense after the discovery of Vex's espionage attempt. Ambassador Nicole Harper's usually diplomatic face showed strain as she faced High Commander Kelrix. "We need the complete truth," she said firmly. "No more half-explanations or hidden agendas." Captain Morgan stood by the view screen, displaying Susan Grant's findings about the engine failures. These weren't random breakdowns. Your propulsion systems were designed to fail once you reached this region of space. Kelrix's large eyes blinked slowly. For several moments, he remained silent. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavier than usual. "What you say is true. But the sabotage was not done by the Krell." A murmur ran through the human delegation. Kelrix raised his upper arms in a gesture asking for silence. "Our people were not just scholars and artists. We were also warriors. For centuries, the Nelvari Union conquered nearby systems. We were not always kind rulers." Susan leaned forward. "You're saying your own people sabotaged your ships?" "A rebellion rose against our military leadership," Kelrix continued. "When the Krell attacked, the rebels saw an opportunity. They disabled the fleet's ability to return, hoping to end our empire's expansion forever." Captain Morgan's face darkened. "So you're not just refugees. You're a military force in retreat." "We were," Kelrix admitted, "but many of our warriors died fighting the Krell. Those who remain have sworn to abandon our conquering ways. We seek only survival now." The revelation caused an immediate split among the human team. Some felt betrayed, arguing the Nelvari had manipulated Earth's compassion. Others pointed out that regardless of their past, the fleet still contained thousands of civilians, including children. Work on the power hub stalled as trust crumbled. Engineer Jack Wilson found himself arguing with Zorth more frequently. The alien engineer became defensive, reverting to the rigid hierarchy of Nelvari culture. "You question my calculations because you no longer trust my kind," Zorth accused during one heated exchange. "I question them because they don't account for power fluctuations," Jack shot back. "This has nothing to do with trust." But it had everything to do with trust. As days passed, the two engineering teams began working separately, comparing results only when necessary. The easy cooperation of earlier weeks vanished. Ambassador Harper spent hours in private discussions with Earth's leadership. Some nations threatened to withdraw their support entirely. Others advocated continuing the rescue while increasing military readiness. During this uncertain time, Maya Patel made a surprising discovery. While reviewing the Nelvari fleet's communication logs, she found evidence of repeated attempts to contact other alien species for help before humans arrived. They asked everyone within range for assistance, Maya reported to Captain Morgan. Over a dozen different civilizations. Every single one refused. "Why?" Alan asked. "Most cited the Krell threat. They didn't want to be targeted next." This information gave the human team pause. Whatever the Nelvari's past sins, they had exhausted all other options before humans arrived. Their gratitude had been genuine. The breaking point came unexpectedly. Long-range sensors detected a new signal at the edge of the solar system, a signal matching known Krell patterns. "They're here," Kelrix announced grimly. "Earlier than we feared." In the chaos that followed, a faction of junior Nelvari officers attempted to seize control of their partially repaired ships. Their plan was to flee, leaving Earth to face the Krell alone. Lieutenant Ben Carter discovered the plot when he overheard Nelvari engineers discussing power allocation for engine tests that hadn't been scheduled. "They're planning to run," Ben reported to Captain Morgan. "They think if they scatter, some might escape while the Krell focus on Earth." Alan confronted Kelrix with this information. To his surprise, the High Commander already knew. "I have placed the conspirators under arrest," Kelrix said. "We will not abandon those who helped us, even if it means facing our enemy together." It was a moment of truth. Despite betrayals on both sides, despite fear and suspicion, humans and Nelveri faced a critical choice: stand united or fall divided. Captain Morgan extended his hand to Kelrix in the human gesture of partnership. After a moment's hesitation, the alien commander grasped it with two of his arms. "Together, then," Alan said. "Together," Kelrix agreed. The Krell warships entered the solar system like predators, silent and purposeful. 5 massive vessels, each larger than the biggest Nelveri ship, their hulls covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. Earth's long-range telescopes captured images that sent chills through military command centers worldwide. "They'll reach our position in 3 days," Captain Morgan informed the Joint Human-Nelveri Defense Council. "The power hub is only 80% complete." Jack Wilson wiped sweat from his forehead. "We need at least 5 more days to ensure stability. If we rush it, the whole system could overload." "We don't have 5 days," Nickel Harper replied grimly. High Commander Kelrix studied the tactical display. "The Krell pattern is always the same. They send scout ships first, then bring their main fleet if resistance is light." "So these 5 ships are just the beginning?" Alan asked. "Yes, but if we defeat them decisively, the main fleet may choose an easier target." Earth's military forces had been mobilizing since the Krell threat became known. Warships from a dozen nations now formed a defensive screen around the Nelveri fleet. Fighter squadrons practiced coordinated maneuvers. Missile platforms were positioned throughout the solar system. Against his engineer's advice, Jack Wilson initiated the power hub startup sequence. "We'll have to adjust as we go," he told Zorth. "No time for more simulations." The massive structure came to life, its core glowing with the intensity of a small star. Energy began flowing through the network, bringing systems online across the Nelveri fleet. Ships that had been dark for months lit up one by one. "Weapons at 40% capacity," Kelrix reported. "Shields at 35%. Better than nothing." The combined fleet formed up, 27 Nelveri vessels surrounded by 36 human warships. It was humanity's entire space-based military might, gathered in one place for the first time. "The Krell have never encountered humans," Susan Grant pointed out during the final strategy session. "They won't know what to expect from our tactics." Captain Morgan nodded. "That's our advantage. We're unpredictable." The battle began at 600 Earth Standard Time. The Krell opened fire from extreme range, their energy weapons cutting through space like spears of light. 3 human ships took direct hits, their shields failing instantly. "Return fire," Admiral Chen ordered from Earth Command. Human missiles streaked toward the Krell vessels. Most were intercepted, but a few struck their targets, causing minimal damage to the aliens' heavy armor. The Nelveri ships moved into formation, using their partially recharged shields to protect the smaller human vessels. Their more powerful weapons reached out, scoring hits on 2 Krell ships. "Their tactics are too predictable," Zorth observed from the command center. "They expect us to retreat or surrender." Captain Morgan saw an opportunity. "What if we split our forces? Draw them into a trap?" A daring plan took shape. While the main fleet engaged the Krell head-on, Captain Morgan would lead a smaller force behind Jupiter, using the planet's gravity to slingshot toward the Krell rear position. "It's risky," Admiral Chen warned. "If they detect your approach too early, they'll be focused on the main fleet," Alan insisted. "It's our best chance." The battle raged for hours. Human ships darted between the larger alien vessels, firing from multiple angles, never staying still long enough to become easy targets. The Nelveri provided heavy firepower, their partially restored weapons causing significant damage to 1 Krell warship. Meanwhile, Morgan's strike team swung around Jupiter, engines dark, letting momentum carry them toward their target. Zorth had joined the mission, his knowledge of Krell weaknesses proving invaluable. "Their rear shields are thinnest," he explained. "A concentrated attack there could disable their main power grid." When the moment came, Morgan's ships powered up simultaneously and accelerated toward the Krull formation. The surprise was complete. Human missiles and Nelvari energy weapons struck the enemy's vulnerable sections before they could reposition their defenses. One Krull ship exploded in a spectacular burst of energy. Another spun out of control, its propulsion systems crippled. The remaining three attempted to regroup, but found themselves caught between the main fleet and Morgan's strike force. "They're retreating," Admiral Chen announced hours later. Cheers erupted across every human and Nelvari vessel. The victory was costly. 7 human ships destroyed, 4 Nelvari vessels heavily damaged. But the Krull scout force had been defeated, something no single species had accomplished before.